Delivering on promises that have long been made to the American people to lower costs for families, especially health care costs, increase America's energy security, restore fairness to a tax code, create good-paying jobs here in America. The Financial Times and the Wall Street Journal initially called my plan Bidenomics. I'm not sure they meant it in a totally complimentary way at the time. But guess what? It's working.
That was President Biden today, marking the anniversary of the Inflation Reduction Act. And guess what? He's not wrong. In the year since the signing, the inflation has gone from 8.5% to 3.2%. Unemployment remains at nearly a 50-year low. Our economy has the lowest inflation rate and the strongest economic recovery of all the G7 nations. The prospect of a recession is diminishing due in part to strong consumer confidence. But you don't hear about that because Republicans will only talk about manufactured crises like the dangers of critical race theory, drag queens, and the threat posed by teaching honest American history to children. Joining me now is Robert Reich, former Secretary of Labor in the Clinton administration. He's a professor of public policy at UC Berkeley and co-founder of Inequality Media. He posted an excellent video on Threads explaining this manufactured Republican hysteria. And it's great to have you on, sir. Talk to me about this a little bit, because it seems to me that the more Republicans scream about drag queens and, putting PragerU videos instead of real history in schools, it is an indication to me that they want to avoid talking about Bidenomics because Bidenomics is actually working. Is that how you read it?
I think that's exactly right, Joy. They are trying to deflect attention from the fact that the economy is great. It's the Goldilocks economy. I'll tell you, I've been watching or participating in economic policy for at least 30 years, and I don't recall an economy that is this good. But the American public, the Republicans basically want to, what do they want to talk about? Wokeism? What is that? They want to talk about critical race theory? I mean, I don't think most of the country really cares about this stuff, but it is a deflection that at least among certain people in certain parts of this country is deflecting attention from what's really going on.
Is it possible, in your experience, to get people to actually feel like the economy is bad? I mean, when you poll people, a lot of people say we're in a recession, and that's just literally not true. It is easier to find a job for most people. It is, is it because if you don't like your job, then you say that unemployment is high? If you don't like, you know what I mean? That if you don't like your personal circumstances, you read the economy as worse than it is. Is that what it is?
I think that's part of it, Joy. Part of it also is that, remember, we've been through a roller coaster over the last 3 or 4 years in terms of the pandemic and the economic consequences of the pandemic, the economy going down, the economy going up, inflation. And I think a lot of people are still kind of uncomfortable with regard to the future. They're still traumatized from everything that's gone on. And on top of that, you have a Republican Party that, as we've been talking about, is trying to tell people that things are terrible when in fact they're good. I believe that over the next 6 to 8 months, Americans who now don't think the economy is all that good are going to realize that it is.
And what the way that the infrastructure bill sort of went in is that, obviously the bill passes, the money doesn't flow right away. But now we're in the phase where you're starting to see the projects going up. You're starting to see the shovels going in the ground. You're starting to see things happen. Do you think that the bill was timed in a way that's actually going to be helpful politically to Democrats, even though Republicans are running out trying to take credit for each and everything that's being built in their districts?
Yes, I think that a lot of it is going to stimulate the economy exactly at the right time. Remember, Joy, that as the Federal Reserve Board has tried to raise interest rates to slow the economy, a lot of this money coming into the economy has acted as a kind of cushion to prevent the economy from going into recession. Right. That's already been a great thing. And I expect that over the next 6 to 8 months, people are going to appreciate a lot more. And remember also, there are parts of the Inflation Reduction Act that people don't even know about. For example, that Medicare can negotiate for lower drug prices. I don't even hear that anybody, and nobody's talking about it. It's a huge deal.
And the other thing I think that's happening is you're starting to see, some positive things about climate, because we see Maui burning. Like we can see that the earth is in crisis and that the climate is in crisis. We see what's happening in Hawaii. You just had a Montana judge sign with 16 teenagers on the state's failure to consider greenhouse gas emissions from energy and mining projects, and saying it violates the state constitution because it doesn't protect Montanans' right to a clean and healthful environment. So you're starting to actually see small moves forward on climate. Do you think that is sort of enough to kind of move, particularly young voters who really care about this stuff? And I agree, we don't hear about it enough. But what do you make of that?
Well, young voters, you put your finger on it. Young voters do care passionately about this. They are going to have to live with the consequences, while old fogies like me are going to be long gone. And so they are taking a much more activist, they're much more dedicated and committed to fighting climate change. And that's what we saw in Montana. It's what we're going to see all over the country. And Joe Biden is on the side of wind and solar and all sorts of ways of slowing climate change or reversing it. So I think young people are going to be very, very activated because of all of this.
And so you've been in politics a long time. Rate Bidenomics on the Obamacare scale, because at first Obamacare was used as a slur against health care, and then it turned into a great thing that people actually wanted to defend. Bidenomics, rate that as terms of messaging.
I think that Bidenomics 6 or 8 months from now is going to be better than Obamacare in terms of messaging. But look, Joy, let's face it, Democrats are not terribly skillful, and they never have been. Going all the way back to, in the Clinton administration, I remember, we just couldn't get the word out.
Yeah.
People have to experience what's going
That's
on.
right.
And I think it's going to take 6 to 8 months.
You wouldn't think they had all of Hollywood on their side. It's like, just call somebody in Hollywood and tell them how to do it. Robert Reich, thank you very much. Just call them. All right. Thank you. We're right back.